The cameras were still rolling when the whisper hit the room like a seismic shock. In a hushed but trembling voice, a producer leaned into a phone and mouthed a single, devastating line. The baby might not be his. Within minutes, the name of Mendeecees was trending. The allegations from Mena were exploding across social media, and the stunned face of Yandy Smith became the image fans couldn't stop sharing. What was supposed to be a routine filming day instantly turned into one of the most shocking moments reality TV has seen in years. Emotions ran high, accusations flew without warning, and before anyone could brace themselves, Mendeecees dropped a bombshell that would tear this family wide open. That baby is not mine. Fans are shocked. The family was left divided, and you could almost feel the betrayal crack through the screen. It all began as a quiet buildup of tension that viewers thought they understood. For weeks, Erica had been standing firm in her claims, telling friends, castmates, and the world that Mendeecees was the father of her unborn child. The story spread like wildfire. Support poured in, critics attacked, speculation ran rampant. Every post was dissected, every eye movement analyzed. But behind the scenes, something darker was forming, something that would turn the entire narrative upside down. On the day of the confrontation, the energy backstage was thick with unease. Crew members whispered. Phones buzzed non-stop. No one could ignore the storm brewing just beyond the lens. Erica arrived first, her face set with a mixture of defiance and exhaustion, one hand resting protectively on her stomach. She believed she had already won, believed the world had accepted her truth. Minutes later, Mendeecees walked in, jaw tight, eyes cold, carrying a stack of documents that no one else had seen yet. And then Yandy entered last, unaware that within moments, her entire world would tilt off its axis. The room fell silent. You could hear the hum of the lights. Even the cameras seemed to hesitate. What is this really about? Yandy asked cautiously, sensing the imbalance in the air. Mendeecees didn't sit down. He didn't soften his voice. He simply looked at Erica and said, slowly and firmly, I'm done being painted into a corner. I took the test, and I'm telling you right now, that baby is not mine. Gasps filled the room. A producer dropped a clipboard. Erica's eyes widened in disbelief. And Yandy, strong, composed Yandy, staggered back as if the words themselves had struck her chest. In that instant, shock turned into chaos. Accusations collided with denial. Tears welled up. Voices began to rise. And just like that, a private doubt became a public war. Outside the studio walls, fans were already taking sides. Some stood by Erica, convinced she was being humiliated. Others rallied behind Mendeecees, claiming he had finally broken free from manipulation. And in the center of it all stood Yandy, blindsided, forced to question every truth she thought she knew about her marriage, her loyalty, and the man she stood beside. But this was only the beginning, because what started as a single denial would soon unravel a web of secret messages, hidden meetings, explosive confrontations, and revelations no one saw coming. And before the dust could even begin to settle, one question echoed louder than all the rest. If the baby isn't Mendeecees, then whose is it really? The room was still vibrating from the shock of his words when everything began to spiral in directions no one was prepared for. Mendeecees stood there unmoving, his hands clenched so tightly that his knuckles had turned pale, while Erica stared at him as if the ground beneath her had just vanished. Yandy's breath caught in her throat, her mind racing faster than her heart could keep up. The silence that followed was heavier than any screaming match that had ever unfolded before these cameras. Fans watching later would say this was the moment everything shifted. The moment where truth and betrayal became impossible to separate. Say that again, Erica finally whispered, her voice trembling not with weakness but with fury that was barely being held back. Look me in my face and say it again. Mendeecees didn't look away. I said I took the DNA test, he replied, his voice low and tight. And the results say the baby is not mine. The words hit like a second explosion. Yandy's hands flew to her mouth as tears instantly filled her eyes. You took a DNA test? She asked, her voice cracking. When were you going to tell me? He hesitated for just a fraction of a second, and that hesitation alone sent a wave of panic through the room. I was waiting for the right moment, he said. I didn't want you to hear it like this. Like this. Yandy's voice rose in disbelief. In front of the cameras, in front of her, in front of everybody, Erica let out a sharp laugh that sounded more like a sob. So now you're saying all of this is a lie? She demanded. You're really going to stand there and act like months of conversations, messages, and promises never happened. Mendeecees shook his head. I'm saying the results are the results. I'm saying I was prepared to take responsibility if it was mine, but it's not. And I'm not going to carry something that isn't true. The family was left divided in that instant. Crew members exchanged uneasy glances, unsure whether to step in or let the moment unfold. Emotions ran high as Erica's face twisted between rage and disbelief. You think a piece of paper erases everything we've been through? She snapped. You think you can humiliate me on live television and just walk away clean? Yandy stepped forward slowly, her legs shaking beneath her. Erica, she said softly, just tell me the truth. That's all I need right now. Is there even a chance? A single chance that he might be right. Erica's eyes filled with tears, but her tone remained sharp. I told you from the beginning what I believed. I never trapped him. I never forced him into anything. He knew what was going on. Believing and knowing are not the same thing. Mendeecees shot back. And now that there's actual proof, you want to pretend it doesn't exist. The word proof echoed in Yandy's mind, like a siren she couldn't silence. She felt her chest tightening, her vision blurring at the edges. All she could think about was the life she fought so hard to keep stable, the trust she had rebuilt piece by piece, now suddenly cracking all over again. Fans are shocked, she thought distantly, but they have no idea what this feels like from the inside. The producers finally moved in, attempting to pause the confrontation, but Erica refused to back down. You think this ends here? She said, her voice rising. You think walking away changes the truth? The truth is, you were there. The truth is, you made promises. And now the truth is being twisted to protect an image. Protect an image? Yandy cried out, her emotions finally breaking through. My life is not an image. My marriage is not a storyline. You have no idea what me and my kids have been through to get back to a place of peace. Your peace was built on my silence. Erica replied coldly, and I'm done being silent. That was the moment when the confrontation went from explosive to uncontrollable. Voices overlapped, accusations collided, and the once clear lines between victims and villains dissolved into chaos. Mendeecees stepped back, rubbing his forehead as if the weight of the situation was physically crushing him. I didn't want this, he muttered. I didn't want it to go this far. Yet here we are, Erica said quietly. And now everyone gets to see what you really are. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation began circulating online. Fans dissected every word, every facial expression, every pause. Some accused Mendeecees of running from responsibility, others accused Erica of fabricating the entire story, and many feared for Yandy, who now found herself caught between two narratives she never asked to be part of. Off camera, the tension only intensified. Yandy was escorted to a separate room, her sobs echoing through the hallway as producers tried to calm her down. Mendeecees followed moments later, desperate to explain himself in private. I swear to you, he pleaded. I did this to protect our family. I had to know the truth before it destroyed us. Yandy turned to him with tears streaming down her face. The truth doesn't protect people when it comes like a knife, she said. You should have told me the second you even had a doubt. I was scared, he admitted quietly. Scared that if I spoke too soon, I'd lose you no matter what the results were. Meanwhile, Erica sat alone in another room, her hands shaking as she scrolled through her phone. Messages were already pouring in. Some were supportive, others brutally cruel. She wiped her tears angrily, whispering to herself, they think they can erase me. They think they can rewrite what happened, but I know what I lived. Behind the scenes, rumors began to surface. Whispers about other men, quiet speculations about timelines that suddenly didn't add up. A name was mentioned in hushed tones among crew members, a name that had not yet made it to the screen but soon would. And with that name came a wave of unease that even the producers couldn't ignore. Later that night, when the cameras resumed rolling, the tone had shifted, the calm that cut deeper than any scream. No matter how this ends, she said, I will not let my children grow up inside a war of lies. Erica met her gaze without flinching. Then make sure you're not defending one. Mendeecees sat between them, visibly shaken, realizing for the first time that there might be no outcome where everyone walked away unscathed. Emotions ran high as he finally admitted, there are things I didn't say because I thought they would only make this worse. But now I see keeping quiet only made it louder. What things? Yandy asked. He swallowed hard, his eyes darting toward Erica for a brief second before returning to Yandy. There were inconsistencies, he said slowly. Dates didn't match. Messages were deleted. There was someone else in the picture that I didn't know about at first. Erica's expression flickered with a hint of panic before hardening again. You're lying? She said. You're building a story to protect yourself. I'm telling you what made me ask for the DNA test in the first place, he replied. I didn't wake up one day and decide to doubt you for no reason. The air grew thick again as the implications of his words settled into the room. For the first time, even the producers seemed unsure where the truth might land. Fans are shocked, the headlines would later say, as speculation exploded about hidden relationships and secret meetings that had never been confirmed on camera. As the night stretched on, one thing became terrifyingly clear. This story was no longer just about whether the baby was his. It was about whose truth would survive when everything was finally dragged into the light. And just as Yandy opened her mouth to demand to know the name of the man Mendeecees had hinted at, his phone vibrated in his pocket. He pulled it out slowly, his face draining of color as a single message appeared on the screen. A message that would change the entire direction of what was about to come next. His thumb hovered over the screen for a second, as if touching it would make everything worse. Yandy watched his face drain of color and instantly knew. Whatever had just come through was connected to everything they'd been dancing around. Erica narrowed her eyes, sensing a shift she didn't understand yet but instinctively feared. The room, already tense, somehow got even tighter. Who is it? Yandy asked, her voice quiet but strained. Mendeecees didn't answer right away. His eyes scanned the message once, twice, 3 times, his jaw clenching harder with each pass. Finally, he held the phone out just far enough that Yandy could see the sender's name. Though the cameras couldn't capture it, her eyes widened. You've got to be kidding me, she whispered. Erica leaned forward, frustration spiking. What? Now you two are sharing secrets in front of me, she snapped. If this is about me, then I deserve to know. Yandy swallowed hard, her throat suddenly dry. This isn't just about you, she said. This is about everything you didn't tell us. Read it out loud, Erica demanded. If you're going to keep dragging my name through this, read it so everyone can hear. Mendeecees exhaled sharply, then lifted the phone, his voice shaking as he read the message aloud. You really going to act like you don't know the truth? Keep my name out of it before I bring the real receipts on camera. We both know that baby's not yours. A stunned silence followed. The words hung in the air like a bitter fog. The family was left divided right there in that moment. Because the message did more than cast doubt, it confirmed that another man was involved. Someone bold enough to threaten going public. Emotions ran high as everyone tried to process the idea that there through was a third player in a story already spiraling out of control. Who is that? One of the producers whispered, off camera. Erica's face went pale before flushing with anger. Don't, she said, her voice low but trembling. Don't you dare bring him into this? Yandy turned to her slowly. So there is a him, she said. Someone you never mentioned. Someone who clearly believes this baby might not be Mendeecees. Erica stood up so fast her chair skidded backward. Don't twist this, she shouted. That message doesn't prove anything. People talk. People want attention. You really think just because somebody sends a text, that suddenly makes the DNA test the whole truth? What it proves, Mendeecees said quietly, is that there was another man around the same time. That's what you didn't say. That's what made me question. Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. Fans Are Shocked doesn't even begin to cover the way viewers would later react as they watched this scene unfold. The idea that there was an unseen man, someone lurking in the background of this already messy story, turned the entire situation into a maze of what-ifs. Timelines were questioned, motives were dissected, and Erica found herself at the center of a storm she couldn't fully control anymore. You are not going to paint me as some villain who hopped from man to man just for fun, Erica fired back. You don't get to erase the nights you came over, the calls you answered, the things you said to me when the cameras were off, and you don't get to erase the fact that I wasn't the only one, he replied. You had options. I didn't know it back then. Now I do. Yandy took a shaky step closer, fighting to keep her voice steady. Why didn't you tell us about him? She asked Erica. You came to us with so much confidence. You looked me in my face. Erica, you swore up and down. You told the world this was his baby. Why leave that part out? Erica's eyes glistened, her guard cracking for a brief moment. Because every time I tell the truth, I get turned into the problem, she said quietly. Because no matter what, I'm the one who gets dragged. If I had mentioned him, all anybody would say is that I was playing games. I chose to stand on what I believed. You didn't stand on belief, Yandy said softly. You stood on half the story. Mendeecees ran a hand over his head, frustration pouring off him. This is why I kept my doubts to myself, he muttered. Because I knew once this came out, it would turn into a circus. Newsflash, Erica said bitterly, gesturing to the cameras. It's already a circus. Behind the scenes, The producers huddled together, whispering urgently. This was the kind of storyline reality TV executives secretly dream about and publicly fear. It was explosive, unpredictable, and dangerous. The wrong move could destroy reputations beyond repair. The right move could cement the show's legacy as the most talked about season ever. We need to know if he's willing to come in. One producer murmured. If he's texting like that, he's not afraid of being seen, or he wants to use this for leverage. Another replied. Either way, if he shows up, this goes to a whole different level. Back in the room, Yandy wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand, trying to force herself into a place of logic even as her heart felt shattered. I need you both to answer something, she said. No cameras, no audience, just us as people for a second. Erica folded her arms, but nodded stiffly. Mendeecees stared at the floor, then lifted his eyes to meet hers and nodded to, Did either of you stop, at any point, and think about what this would do to my kids? She asked. To our home, to everything I have fought to build. Because right now, it feels like I'm standing in the middle of a battlefield that I never agreed to step onto. Erica's expression softened just slightly. I thought about it, she admitted. I thought about them, but I also thought about mine. My child, my pain, my name. I've been dragged for years. I'm tired of being the one everybody laughs at, judges, calls every name in the book while the men get to walk around like they're untouchable. I'm not untouchable, Mendeecees said, his voice cracking. I've paid for my mistakes. I've lost years with my family. I've done time. And I came home trying to do better. So when doubt came up, I didn't shrug it off. I went and looked for answers because I didn't want to build another lie. And now what? Yandy asked. You both feel justified. You both feel hurt. And I'm left wondering if I'll ever be able to trust what either of you say again. The family was left divided not just by the DNA results, but by the emotional wreckage that came with them. Siblings whispered in group chats. Cousins texted each other links to fan pages, analyzing every scene. Some sided with Mendeecees, arguing that he had the right to seek the truth. Others empathized with Erica, seeing her as Erica's expression softened just slightly. I thought about it, she admitted. I thought about them, but I also thought about mine. My child, my pain, my name. I've been dragged for years. I'm tired of being the one everybody laughs at, judges, calls every name in the book while the men get to walk around like they're untouchable. I'm not untouchable, Mendeecees said, his voice cracking. I've paid for my mistakes. I've lost years with my family. I've done time. And I came home trying to do better. So when doubt came up, I didn't shrug it off. I went and looked for answers because I didn't want to build another lie. And now what? Yandy asked. You both feel justified. You both feel hurt. And I'm left wondering if I'll ever be able to trust what either of you say again. The family was left divided, not just by the DNA results, but by the emotional wreckage that came with them. Siblings whispered in group chats. Cousins texted each other links to fan pages analyzing every scene. Some sided with Mendeecees, arguing that he had the right to seek the truth. Others empathized with Erica, seeing her as a woman who had been left to defend herself publicly while privately dealing with uncertainty and fear. Outside the studio, fans flooded social media with comments. Some wrote, emotions ran high, but Mendeecees is finally standing up for himself. Others argued, Erica doesn't deserve this humiliation. If timelines were messy, that doesn't make her a liar. Fan pages slowed down scenes, screenshotting every tear, every side-eye, every tightening jawline. People who had never met any of them felt personally invested in the outcome. Later that week, the producers managed to contact the man behind the text message. He didn't want his face shown at first. He wanted his voice altered. He wanted control. But he also wanted something else. The opportunity to tell his side of the story. He says he's got screenshots, a producer told the team. He says he's got dates, hotel records, and DMS. If even half of what he's claiming is real, this takes the whole situation into a different orbit. When Mendeecees and Yandy were told about this, the reaction was immediate. Mendeecees slammed his fist into the table. I'm not about to sit here and be played, he said. If dude has something to say, he can say it in front of me, not hidden, not behind a voice filter, eye to eye. Are you sure? Yandy asked quietly. Because once he walks through that door, there's no turning back. This won't just be a story anymore. It'll be a permanent stain that never washes off. It already is, Mendeecees replied. We're just pretending it's not. On the day they arranged to meet him, the energy in the building felt different from the moment everyone arrived. Security was tighter. Producers were more tense. Even the cameras seemed more alert, almost like they knew history was about to be recorded. Yandy walked in wearing a simple outfit, no dramatic glam, just a woman bracing herself for whatever was coming. Mendeecees followed, shoulders heavy but eyes focused. Erica arrived last, her face unreadable, a storm hidden behind perfectly done lashes. They were seated in a triangle, the empty fourth side of the setup left open for the man whose name had become a ghost, haunting every conversation. Minutes passed. Water bottles were untouched. No one wanted to blink first. Finally, the door opened. A man stepped in, his eyes scanning the room with a mixture of defensiveness and exhaustion. He wasn't what fans would have imagined. No flashy jewelry. No loud presence. Just a quiet intensity that made it immediately clear he was not here to play. "So this is it," he said, his voice steady. "This is where everyone pretends they didn't know what was really going on." Erica's face shifted, a flicker of guilt flashing behind her composure. "You didn't have to come," she said softly. I chose to stop watching you get dragged, while my name stays in the shadows," he replied. "That's what I chose." Mendeecees stared at him, studying his face, his posture, the way his eyes shifted between them. "So tell me," he said, his words measured but tight, "do you honestly believe that child is yours?" The man took a breath. "I don't believe," he said. "I know there's a chance. I know the timing. I know the nights we spent together. I know the messages. I know the calls. I know the promises. And I know I'm not going to sit on the sidelines while your PR team turns this into a heroic story for you." Yandy flinched at the mention of PR, because she knew how it would sound to fans, like their lives were just carefully crafted narratives instead of raw, messy reality. "This isn't about PR," she said. "This is about the fact that every decision you three made affects real people, real kids." He nodded. "And that's exactly why I'm here. Because those kids deserve the truth. All of them. Yours, hers, mine. If this baby is actually mine." Erica finally broke, her voice trembling. "I never wanted this to turn into a war," she said. "I just didn't want to be erased. When I said it was Mendeecees' baby, I said it because that's what it felt like. He was there. He was stepping up. He was saying the right things. I didn't want to complicate it by bringing you in, but it was already complicated." The man replied, "That's what you didn't want to admit." The tension spiked again, as all eyes returned to the core question neither of them could avoid anymore. Who was the father? Who was telling the truth? And who was willing to go all the way to prove it? "So, what now?" Mendeecees asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "We've got one DNA test saying it's not mine. We've got you claiming it might be yours. We've got Erica caught between two stories. What more do we need?" The man reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded envelope. The cameras zoomed in instinctively as he placed it on the table between them. "We need this," he said. "I already did my part. I already took a test. I already did what you claim you did. And I've been sitting on the results because I wanted to see how far you'd go before telling the truth." Erica's breath hitched. Yandy's hand flew to her chest. Mendeecees stared at the envelope like it was a bomb with no timer visible. The family was left divided, yet again, on whether opening it would heal anything or only deepen the wounds that were already bleeding. And as the cameras rolled, capturing every second of this unraveling saga, the envelope just sat there, daring someone to be the first to reach out and finally open it. For a moment, no one moved. The envelope lay in the center of the table, like it carried the weight of every lie, every doubt, every painful possibility wrapped inside a thin layer of paper. The cameras stayed locked in. Even the crew seemed afraid to breathe. Emotions ran high, in a silence so loud, it felt suffocating. "Open it," the man said quietly, breaking the tension first. "Or keep pretending you don't want to know." Mendeecees' fingers twitched, but he didn't reach for it yet. His eyes lifted to Erica instead. "If that paper says what you think it says?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Are you ready for what happens next?" Erica's lips parted, but no sound came out at first. She swallowed hard. "Nothing that happens next will be worse than living in this," she finally whispered. Yandy inhaled deeply, trying to steady herself. "Then don't drag this out," she said. "Open it." Mendeecees slowly reached forward. Every movement felt delayed, as if time itself had slowed to watch this moment unfold. He slid the envelope closer, hesitated one last second, then tore it open. He replied, "Because it was already a bomb. It just hadn't gone off yet." Erica cried openly now, her shoulders shaking. "I didn't want it to be like this," she sobbed. "I didn't want the whole world to find out like this." "Then you should have told the truth at the beginning," Mendeecees snapped, his voice finally breaking through his restraint. "You let me believe I might be the father. You let Yandy believe it. You let my kids live under that shadow. You let that story grow because it was convenient." "Convenient?" Erica shouted through tears. Do you know what it's like to be alone and pregnant with the whole world watching? Do you know what it feels like to not know who'll actually stand by you when everything falls apart? The man stood, his voice firm but not loud. You weren't alone. I was there. I was begging you to let me step forward. You told me to stay back because you said it would be too messy. Yandy shook her head slowly. Disbelief etched into every feature. So this whole time, she said, looking at Erica, you knew there was a strong chance it wasn't Mendeecees, and you still looked me in the eyes and swore it was his. Erica couldn't meet her gaze. I didn't know for sure, she whispered. I was scared. I was confused. And I thought if he stepped up, it would make everything simpler. You don't simplify life by building it on a lie, Yandy said through tears. Mendeecees pushed his chair back slowly and stood up. He walked a few steps away, pressing his palms against the wall as if trying to physically hold himself together. Emotions ran high as his breathing grew heavier. I defended you, he said without turning round. I stood in front of my wife, my family, my kids, the entire internet, and took the hit because I thought that kid might be mine. I didn't even deny it until I had proof. And all this time, you knew. Erica cried harder. I didn't mean to hurt you like that, but you did, he replied. And you hurt her too. The family was left divided not just between spouses and exes, but between truth and damage that could never fully be undone. Yandy sank into her chair again, her face drained of color. This isn't a victory for anyone, she said softly. There is no winner here. Outside the room, producers whispered frantically into their headsets. The scene they were capturing was raw, painful, and irreversible. Every second of it would follow these people for the rest of their lives. The man spoke again, his tone quieter now. I didn't come here to celebrate. I came here because I didn't want that child growing up in confusion. I didn't want him or her later asking why nobody fought for the truth. Erica looked up at him, her eyes red and swollen. And now what? She asked weakly. Now that it's out, what do you want? He hesitated. I want to be in my child's life. Openly, without hiding, without whispers. I want to do it right. Mendeecees turned to face him, pain flashing in his eyes. Then step up, he said, because I'm stepping back. I won't carry a lie anymore. Those words hit Erica like another blow. You're just going to walk away, she cried. After everything, I already stayed longer than the truth allowed, he replied. Now I'm choosing my family. Yandy closed her eyes, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. The confirmation that the baby wasn't his should have brought relief, but instead it felt like a different kind of loss. A loss of trust, of peace, of the illusion that any part of this had been simple. Later that evening, after the explosive confrontation had wrapped, the fallout began spreading through phone calls and emergency meetings. Family members demanded explanations. Friends chose sides. Some praised Mendeecees for seeking the truth. Others criticized him for ever allowing the situation to go public in the first place. Erica's inbox flooded with messages ranging from compassion to cruelty. The man who had now been confirmed as the father found himself suddenly pulled into a spotlight he had avoided for months. And Yandy, the woman at the center of all the emotional wreckage, returned home to a quiet house that felt emptier than ever. Her children hugged her tight, unaware of how close their world had come to shattering. She kissed their foreheads and whispered reassurances she herself did not fully believe. That night, Mendeecees lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment that had led them here. Every time he had ignored a doubt. Every time he had chosen silence over confrontation. He wondered how many versions of the truth had passed through his hands before the real one finally landed. Across the city, Erica sat alone in her bedroom, hands resting on her stomach, tears soaking into the sheets. She whispered an apology to the child inside her, promising to protect them no matter what the world now said about her. She told herself she had done what she thought was best at the time, even as her heart questioned whether that had ever truly been enough. And the father, newly revealed, stared at the test results once more, a mix of fear and determination flooding his chest. Tomorrow, nothing would be hidden. Tomorrow, the world would wake up to a truth that could not be undone. But none of them yet knew that the next revelation wouldn't come from inside that room at all. It would come from someone watching from the outside, someone with their own receipts, their own grievances, and their own reason to finally speak up. Now it's your turn to decide what you really believe. After everything you just heard, after every tear, every accusation, every secret that finally came into the light, whose side are you on? Do you believe Erica when she says she acted out of fear and confusion? Do you stand with Mendeecees for demanding the truth before his life was permanently rewritten? Or do you feel for Yandy, the woman caught in the middle of a storm she never created but had to survive anyway? Emotions ran high in every single scene, but the biggest question still lingers. Was this all preventable, or was the family always destined to be left divided? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now, because your voice matters in this conversation. Tell us what you would have done if you were in Yandy's place. Would you have stayed silent for the sake of peace? Or demanded answers, no matter the cost? Would you have believed Erica without proof? Or would you have needed the DNA results first? And if you were Mendeecees, would you have walked away the moment the truth came out, or tried to repair the damage, no matter how deep the betrayal cut? If this story shocked you, if it made you emotional, or if it made you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty, love, and truth, then make sure you support this channel right now. Hit the like button so this story reaches more people who need to see it. Subscribe if you want to stay updated on every twist, every secret, and every bombshell that's still to come. And don't forget to turn on your notifications, because the next chapter could drop at any moment and you won't want to miss it. Most importantly, share this video with someone who loves real, raw drama. Because stories like this don't just happen on screen, they happen in real life too. And sometimes, the truth is more shocking than any script. The truth is more shocking than any script.